Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's WWE Raw from August 22nd, 2022, live from Toronto, Canada. So the biggest news tonight is that Edge will have a match in his hometown of Toronto for the first time in 12 years. Well, that's what we were told, but that's somewhat a lie. It's the first match on television in 12 years, but his last that one was in 2010 against Christian, but Edge has had two house show matches in Toronto ever since. The last one was defending the World Heavyweight title against Dolph Ziggler in 2011, but this is still a big moment for Edge, who hasn't had a match in his hometown for over a decade. Edge will be taking on Damian Priest in the main event, who was the first person that Edge recruited for the Judgment Day, and now the Judgment Day has replaced Edge with Finn Balor. Edge is looking for payback tonight to avoid, and is looking to avoid a 3-on-1 beatdown in his hometown. Edge had formed an alliance with the Mysterios, but the Judgment Day kind of ruined that by having Edge spear Dominic on accident. So Edge will definitely have to watch his back, but can't take too much focus off of Damian Priest, who definitely has the ability to beat Edge even without distractions. So since we're in Toronto tonight, there's also rumors that hometown hero Trish Stratus might also show up tonight. But then a few hours before Raw started, it was confirmed that Trish Stratus will be on Raw tonight. So that should definitely be interesting. Also scheduled tonight is the first semifinal match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. It'll be Asuka and Alexa Bliss taking on Dakota Kai and Io Sky. The winner of that match will move on to the final against the winner of the second semifinal match, which will be on SmackDown with, well, it was supposed to be Toxic Attraction, but they've now been taken out. So there's big news. There's an injury to Gigi Dolan. So Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah will now be waiting to take on a winner of a 4-team second chance. All the losers of the first round matches are going to take on each other on SmackDown, and they'll take on Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah later that night. So whoever wins that match tonight in the semifinals will meet the winner of whoever gets out of that. 5 different teams could come out and fight whoever wins tonight in the finals. So after also 2 straight weeks, we've now seen the U.S. title defended by Bobby Lashley. So who might be the next to step up? You might think that the United States title might be defended at Clash at the Castle, but maybe not since it's in the UK. So that would make sense if it's not. But anyway, with only 2 Raws before the big UK Clash at the Castle event, maybe someone will step up to Lashley. Anyway, we've also seen Dexter Lumis doing weird things backstage for the last 2 weeks and also trying to rush to the ring. I thought maybe it had something to do with Johnny Gargano returning, and it still might, but Dexter has seemingly had something to do with AJ Styles or The Miz and Champa. So we'll definitely see if that happens for a third time. I'm intrigued to see where this story with Dexter Lumis goes. It's pretty mysterious. So anyway, Champa, meanwhile, seems to have a lot of momentum lately, despite losing his United States title match against Lashley 2 weeks ago. Ciampa has been really leaning into his association with The Miz. So maybe they want to go after the tag titles next. We'll have to see if that's what they're thinking of. Speaking of tag titles, the Street Profits were missing last week from Raw, also losing twice to the Usos, and they couldn't get the tag titles. Now they lost singles matches each to Seth Rollins. Street Profits were relegated to main event last week and got back in the win column, defeating Alpha Academy. So it's unknown if there's any tension between the Street Profits or if they'll be able to survive to go for the tag titles again. Now that I've seen Raw, I can, spoiler alert, we do not see the Street Profits at all again for the second straight week. So maybe Street Profits will be on main event, looking to pick up another tag team and get back up in the rankings after 2 straight tag title losses. So anyway, last week's main event, we saw Theory. He was able to take out Dolph Ziggler, who was tormenting Theory for over a month. Now Theory can go back to planning for his Money in the Bank cash in. His next chance might be at Clash at the Castle. So Theory has got to be thinking about having to get there in one piece. Anyway, one of the best things on Raw lately has been Kevin Owens return to form, basically back to his old self for the last 2 weeks. First taking out Ezekiel with an apron power bomb, then having a great promo with Drew McIntyre, followed by a really good match as well against McIntyre that the Usos eventually stopped attacking Groot. So there's no winner there. And you got to imagine the Canadian Kevin Owens is going to be on this Canadian Raw. So this should be a great episode of Raw here in Toronto. The crowd's sure to be hot, and I was really looking forward to this show. So Raw starts out with the announcers telling us it's a sold out 16,000 person strong crowd here in Toronto, and then the camera immediately cuts it starts running backstage actually from the entrance ramp, and we see Seth Rollins and Riddle fighting already. So Seth was in a suit, Riddle was in ring gear. The officials break them up, and then Riddle and Seth start brawling all the way out through the crowd. And now we see that Seth is wearing like Shinsuke Nakamura's red leather pants and mesh t-shirt. That was kind of awkward or slash funny. So after a minute or so, this goes on for a minute, they finally get the two men separated. Seth and Riddle get separated, and then once they get taken out, the pyro goes off to start Raw, I guess, for a second time. So anyway, after that, Trish Stratus now comes out, the massive cheers from her hometown crowd. And Trish says, it feels so good to be here, so good to be home, not just Toronto, but this ring between these ropes. It'll never not feel like home. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. And then before Trish Stratus can say anything else, Bayley interrupts with the rest of the Bayley buddies, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And before they can even say a word, we just go to a commercial break. So that was kind of a letdown with seeing Bayley probably said something funny during the ad break. But anyway, when we return, Bayley says, we are so excited to be in the ring with Trish Stratus, but we were wondering, what are you even doing here? So Trish Stratus says, well, I'm here to see Edge and support him. And before I was interrupted, I had something to say. But then Dakota interrupts her again, and Io then makes fun of Trish. Bayley says, we're tired of you. This is our ring now. Who the hell do you think you are? And then Bianca Belair runs down to the ring looking mad at this. Bianca says, who is Trish Stratus? Bayley, you're not even in the same stratosphere. Trish walked so that we could run. You should be thanking her. But since you're acting like this, Trish was a trailblazer, a legend, and this is her city, so stop being disrespectful. I didn't need to defend her because she can defend herself. And then Trish says, I can go real quick from am retired to was retired. So if you keep running your mouth. So that's kind of what Trish was, it seemed like Trish was alluding to earlier before she got interrupted. And we never saw Trish have a match tonight. So that could possibly mean that Trish Stratus is thinking about another run and coming out of retirement. She's probably more willing to now that the person that used to be boss that made her bark around like a dog in front of the ring and stuff like that is now gone. So she would be more receptive to that, and that could be a great thing, having Trish Stratus on the roster for a little bit. Maybe even that would entice Lita to come back for a little run as well. That would be pretty cool. So anyway, this segment keeps going. Bayley says that we have the numbers game, basically intimidating Trish Stratus now, and who's out there with Bianca Belair. So Alexa Bliss music hits, and she comes out with Asuka. So damn, Asuka has to come out to Alexa Bliss's music. But anyway, Bayley wants to leave with the Bayley buddies because it's now 4-on-3. So everyone regroups. They don't leave because this is about to turn into that semifinals of the tag team title tournament. So the semis from the Raw side, the winner goes to the finals, and like you found out, it's now going to be a 4-way tag match to replace Toxic Attraction. So the SmackDown side is actually still stuck in the first round, while the Raw winner on the Raw side will already be decided for the finals. So anyway, we start the match with two of the best women's wrestlers in the world, Asuka and Io Sky. So wow, they used to be in a stable alongside Io's sister in Japan, and they just absolutely destroyed everyone. So they know each other very well, but Io ducks under an attack and tags out right away. So Asuka calls Io a chicken. Asuka then takes down Dakota Kai with a headlock, and then Dakota answers back with a headlock takedown of her own. But then Dakota leaves the ring, and Asuka calls her a chicken too, and then just stands there waiting. Dakota waits all the way for an 8 count, and then Asuka hip attacks her right back out of the ring. So Alexa then runs in. She knocks Io Sky off the apron, and I guess the ref's count was restarted because we just go to an ad break. So I guess it wasn't a count out. So that was kind of an awkward way to go to the break. Anyway, when we return, Io and Alexa are in the ring, and they tie up. Alexa gets wrist control. Io counters it into a hammerlock. Io then ducks under a back elbow attempt, and Alexa hits a nice pin here for a 2 count. Then Alexa blocks a German suplex. then drops to the knees, drops Io to her knees with a combo here. And Io's getting some nice wrestling here out of Alexa. Really good to see. You don't see that from Alexa too often. That's just how good Io Sky is that she's getting some good wrestling out of Alexa. Asuka now tags in. Io ducks underneath a roundhouse kick and then stomps on Asuka's fingers. They quicken the pace here, and it gets really good. Io hits a nasty looking thrust kick right to Asuka's face. This stuns Asuka, but fires her up at the same time. But Dakota Kai now tags in and hits a big kick. Then Asuka counters, still mad from that fired up earlier. Asuka hits a pop-up knee strike. Then Kawada kicks of her own. So before that, Dakota was hitting some Kawada kicks. Now Asuka answers back with Kawada kicks of her own. Alexa now tags in. They hit a nice double team with Alexa hitting a big forearm and Asuka hitting a bulldog right after. Dakota Kai's just barely able to kick out of this. Then Alexa hits a really bad-looking jawbreaker. Dakota gets out of the ring now, and Alexa hits a somersault senton off the apron. That didn't look great either. Dakota's then able to counter, and like 10 seconds of nothing happens after that, and then we just go to an ad break. So Dakota Kai and Alexa Bliss together has definitely ruined this match to the point where the sold-out crowd was completely silent once they were stinking up the joint after we watched after we watched Asuka and Io Sky tear it up. Then we had to watch these two, who are mostly just strikes and random moves with lackluster quality. They're both all right. They're not terrible, but they're not great wrestlers either. So it was just like they really brought the crowd down. I would have avoided having Alexa Bliss and Dakota in this match for too long, especially for a commercial break. So hopefully the ending can save this match because, like I said, the crowd was completely silent from when the point of Alexa Bliss and Dakota in the ring. So when we come back, Dakota has control on Alexa, then tags in Io Sky. Alexa hits a kick, and then she's able to tag in Asuka. So here we go. They quicken the pace again. Asuka knocks Dakota off the apron before hitting two big attacks on Io. They both do a great striking combo here. Then Asuka hits a low drop kick to the face, and randomly we see Aliyah is watching in the back. So I've forgotten at this point, but I remember later we do see Aliyah again. Aliyah is from Toronto, so that's why she's here. She's also part of it made a little bit more sense as well because she's waiting to find out who's going to be from the four-way match for the tag title tournament to replace Toxic Attraction. So anyway, Io now takes control, hits a really nice springboard missile drop kick. Then Alexa tags in, or she just comes in and breaks up the pin. Dakota throws Alexa out of the ring. Then Dakota tags in. Asuka counters their attack, and Dakota counters a roundhouse kick with a good-looking scorpion kick. That was nice, followed by a nice-looking running kick. That's what Dakota Kai is known for, her kicks here. Then Asuka's just barely able to kick out. Then Asuka counters a neck breaker into a spinning back fist. That looked nasty. Alexa now tags in, and they hit a double DDT on both women. And then they double team Dakota as well. So Asuka applies the Asuka lock here, but Io Sky is able to break the hold on Dakota. And then Alexa tags in, trying to hit Twisted Bliss, but Dakota gets her knees up here. So Io comes in, and her and Alexa fight outside of the ring. Dakota misses a kick, and Asuka applies the Asuka lock again. However, Io Sky had made the blind tag just before that, and she's able to surprise Asuka with a smart roll up here for the 1-2-3. The winners of this match, Io Sky and Dakota Kai. So I really like this ending. Great stuff. Every time Asuka and Io Sky were in there, it's some of the best elite women's wrestling you can get. And then when it was Alexa Bliss and Dakota in there, they don't even really have a big repertoire of moves in their arsenal. They're mostly strike, hit a move here, hit a move there, and even Alexa's moves weren't really hitting that well tonight. So they kind of brought down the crowd, but every time Asuka and Io were in there, they brought the crowd right back up. And I love the ending of this with the blind tag, and it still sets up at some point we're going to get a really good, probably pay-per-view match between Io Sky and Asuka at some point. So the little preview we got of that tonight tells us that would be one of the all-time greats matches in WWE. So anyway, Io and Dakota will be waiting in the finals for whoever gets there from the cursed side, the SmackDown side that has yet another NXT team drop out. So we'll have that fatal four-way tag match, and the winner of that will take on Raquel and Aliyah on the same night. And then next week, we find out later, next week, the finals will take place on Raw next week in Pittsburgh. So in the back now, Dolph Ziggler is there, and he says, "I've been doing this a long time, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and I just lost the Theory. He was the better man that night. I just wanted him to know that the world is in his hands." But then Finn Balor interrupts, and this was interesting. He tells Ziggler that you're just like Edge and Rey Mysterio. You want to latch on to the younger talent. Uh, you can't teach me nothing, kid. He says to Dolph, who says, "We're the same age. What the heck?" So Dolph slaps Finn, who goes right to the ground, and Rhea Ripley's now we see is standing over Finn. Dolph leaves, but then comes back and says, "Were you gonna come out for our match or just sit there like a little female dog?" You know, the B word. So whew, that was pretty cool. Anyway, a nice little 30-second way to get people to try and care about this match. It got me fired up for the match. The crowd, we found out, not so much. But anyway, this will be Dolph Ziggler against Finn Balor. And it somewhat tied up that loose end of Dolph somewhat explained why he was targeting Theory, is because he wanted Theory to I guess you can interpret it as he didn't want Theory to make the same mistakes Dolph did, because look at where Dolph's career ended up. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's something that still might happen. You could still get a Dolph Theory partnership down the line. I thought that's kind of where they were leading. Or that might have been the last mention of them ever again, and Dolph and Theory go their separate ways for the rest of their careers. So anyway, Dolph makes his entrance. Finn Balor's still on the ground looking mad, and we go to an ad break. So when we come back, holy crap, Finn Balor has new music. It's like his old music, but it's been remixed, and it got a little bit more demon Finn Balor flares than the other Finn Balor with the opening. It's definitely different. It turns into like a cool rap beat that you could definitely rap over. I like this Finn Balor music. We find out later on that Damian Priest also has the same like remix of his original music. I don't know if this means the alter bridge, the amazing alter bridge, the other side. I don't know if that's ever going to be heard again, or maybe we'll still hear it when the Judgment Day come out together or as a tag team. So anyway, I love this new Finn Balor music. You could definitely put a rap over it, and it would sound awesome. So anyway, Finn and Dolph tie each up here and apply. Dolph applies a headlock and hits a nice shoulder tackle. Finn then hits a thrust kick to the gut, but Dolph gets another headlock in and hits a drop kick. And then Finn gets a nice takedown, hits some punches, and the crowd is booing loudly for Finn, but they don't cheer at all for Dolph Ziggler when he's on the attack. And the same thing happened in the main event last week. Everybody booed when Theory was on the attack, but nobody cheered when Dolph was on the attack like they were supposed to storyline wise. So nobody cares about Dolph right now. Anyway, Finn does some slow offense here, and the crowd's really silent. So I don't know what it is with this new heel Finn Balor, but he's got some pretty boring, slow heel offense for when they're supposed to get. I guess the problem here was that the crowd wasn't playing along. They didn't care. They were like, just beat up. They were like, I don't care if you beat up Dolph Ziggler, go ahead, like kind of deal. So it just didn't work. Anyway, between this and the Alexa Dakota kind of putting the crowd to sleep, we were in a little bit of a conundrum here at the beginning of Raw with the crowd. So any big sold out 16,000 people crowd, by the way. Dolph then gets hit super hard into the turnbuckle with his chest as we go to an ad break, and Triple H might need to pull the plug on and shorten this match because the crowd's just not feeling it. So anyway, Finn was a good guy. If Finn was a good guy, this match would work fine. But since he's not, it's kind of been a lackluster first hour of Raw, which is kind of weird because it's consider all the great people that were on the first hour of Raw. We had Trish Stratus, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Io Sky, Dolph Ziggler, Finn Balor, a little appearance from Rhea. All these amazing people, and it was still kind of a lackluster first hour. But here's the thing: it gets better from here. So when we come back, Finn has a chin lock applied, of course, like every time you come back from the commercial break, you know. So anyway, Dolph gets out of it with a jawbreaker. Another thing, we see that so many times tonight, people getting out of chin locks with jawbreakers. That happens in almost every single match tonight. But then Dolph falls but tries to flip back and doesn't really land on his feet. So this match is just kind of falling apart, but also hitting a sloppy back elbow right after that. Dolph's probably not feeling good because the crowd's not receptive to him for 2 weeks in a row. But Dolph fires up now, hitting corner mounted punches and the neck breaker. Finn's able to kick out of this and then counter the next attack. Finn takes control. And then again, Finn's heel offense is kind of boring. I kind of prefer the babyface Finn for sure if his offense is going to be this boring. Anyway, Dolph counters a move and then Finn counters right back, hitting a nice sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. All right, now we're cooking. Dolph then hits a drop kick and a DDT for a 2 count. Both men are down, and this match isn't quite clicking, but it's starting to heat up now. At least the crowd gets a small "Let's Go Ziggler" chant in the background. I heard it. It didn't last long, but it was there, and just slightly. So anyway, Dolph counters a 1916 attempt into a famouser, and then Finn's just barely able to kick out of that one. Finn blocks the zigzag attempt and then hits a nice shotgun dropkick into the corner. Finn Balor goes up top to hit the coup de grace, but Dolph is able to evade it. Immediately after, Dolph hits the zigzag, and everyone in the building, including me, thought that it was over, but Finn kicks out at the last moment. And now the crowd's into the match. They as both men hit punches here, back and forth. Finn hits a questionably low kick, maybe a low blow here. Then the referee gets distracted by Finn, so Rhea can hit a punch on Dolph. Then Finn goes up, hits the coup de grace for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Finn Balor. So that was definitely interesting. They actually got the crowd into it after a long, boring period in the match, and they just when the crowd was into it, then they got the boos they wanted for the Judgment Day because they just as they cheered, they cheated the win. And this goes into what they wanted the Judgment Day's reactions to be for later on in the main event. So this was kind of, it went too long, that's for sure. But the point of this was to get the crowd even more mad at the Judgment Day for later on when Damian takes on Edge in the main event, which they shouldn't have needed much help because Edge was the hometown hero fighting for the first time in a decade. Let me get a quick drink, but next Aliyah's in the back, so we'll get into why Aliyah's here. So yeah, I didn't remember until this time, but Aliyah is from Toronto. So Aliyah's from Toronto, and she's in the back now, and she's about to say something, but Bayley interrupts her right away. So the Bayley buddies are here as well, and Bayley asks if Aliyah was taking notes, but even if you were, it doesn't matter because if you make it to the finals, you'll lose to the Bayley buddies here. So Trish, they basically are intimidating Aliyah here, maybe looking to beat her up, but Trish Stratus now comes in the stand side by side with both Toronto girls here, Aliyah and Trish, and Aliyah challenges Bayley to have her first return match here, and Bayley accepts. So then we see, so before I move on to that, that's big news because I saw that Bayley was wrestling at the house shows, but this will be the first televised match for Bayley in over a year. So that's definitely big news, and it's against hometown hero Aliyah. I think she's had an NXT matches like house shows and in Toronto before, but this will be the first big event Aliyah's ever had in her hometown. So that's a big moment, as well as it being the first Bayley TV match in over a year. So that's a big match later on. Before the segment even ends, we see a frantic Adam Pearce with some security guards. Adam Pearce is holding on to his a photo here with somebody's face crossed out with a red X. I tried to look and pause it, but I just couldn't tell whose face it was. But we might find out a little bit later on. But this definitely, I knew it had something to do with Dexter Lumis. This has been happening for 3 weeks now, where there's commotion backstage, and then later on something weird happens. So that will be getting back to. So anyway, Alpha Academy now come out, and we're told after the break, and it'll be an Alpha Academy Open Challenge. And I was a little worried because I thought he was going to say like one of those like I don't know, like the spelling bee again, or I thought that we were moved past that kind of stuff. But no, it's just an open challenge. When we get back, Gable has the microphone and says, for the first time, Alpha Academy will accept new students. So I never even thought, I don't know why, but that thought never crossed my mind that Alpha Academy could have more students. Like, I don't know why, because like Chase U in NXT, I think of them getting more and more students. And I've already mentioned how Chase U could be in NXT for like the next 10 years, and they could just churn out, okay, now you graduated and we bring in a new person. but I never once thought about bringing someone into the Alpha Academy. So Gable says, we're going to start right here in Canada. But when I looked around, none of you would cut it. I found no talent here in Canada. So against my better judgment, I'm hosting our first open challenge. So Toronto, send us your best. So basically, I left out a bunch of other things, but basically Gable was just making fun of Canada the whole time. So holy crap, that makes Kevin Owens come out. And if you remember, Kevin Owens has been really good friends with the Alpha Academy for months now. They were helping him out with the whole Ezekiel thing and all that. So even though they were friends for the last couple of months, Kevin Owens is not going to let Chad Gable talk bad about Canada out here in Toronto. So the crowd goes absolutely wild, obviously, for the Canadian Kevin Owens, and it will be a match right now, KO against Chad Gable. So no talking or anything. I kind of would have preferred them to say, like, maybe it could have been one line like Chad was like, I thought we were friends or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would have done just like maybe one line, like maybe even KO didn't have to say anything. Because they just clearly, it's no nonsense KO now. This is the KO that just wants to beat people up. So he didn't even have to talk, but you could have had Chad be like, the KO, wait, like, no, you're cool. You're a cool Canadian, like something like that. And then KO just beat him up. So anyway, this match is just going to start. Chad rolls out of the ring right away because he was getting beaten up. Back in the ring now after getting beaten up outside of the ring as well. Chad's able to fight back and apply a headlock. KO gets out of this with a nice back elbow. Then KO gets super aggressive here and Chad actually hits him in the throat right after that, getting aggressive back. So this is already broken down into a fight here. So KO takes him down and hits a senton, just a running senton. Chad gets out of the ring to avoid a cannon ball senton right here. And then Chad hits a nice looking T-bone suplex on the outside of the ring on KO. That was awesome. Right after that, KO blocks an apron attack and looks to power bomb Gable on the apron here, but Gable counters that and hits a nasty German suplex on KO right on the edge of the apron. The sound was nasty. The look was nasty. Holy crap. We go to an ad break after that one. This match has already been by far the match of the night. And I do wish, like I said, KO and Chad would have said something prior to the match. But before the first like, oh, we were friends. But anyway, Chad then hits a German suplex in the ring, followed by two more. KO is able to block the fourth attempt, hitting a German suplex of his own. KO then hits that cannonball senton he wanted earlier. They both trade strikes now when they're standing. Chad stomps on the foot and then hits KO with the KO hits the package neck breaker. KO then goes up to the top ropes, hitting a huge frog splash here halfway across the ring. Chad's just barely able to kick out of that one. Chad then counters a pop-up powerbomb and a stunner, both in a row, countering those into a German suplex. And then going up, Chad Gable hits a top rope diving headbutt. That was awesome. Then Owens is just barely able to kick out of that. And this is a great match. You definitely have to go watch this one if you didn't. KO has been taking the suplex city in this match, but KO's able to hit a middle rope package slam right after this, but it was too close, too slow to cover. So Gable is able to kick out of this big slam. Gable got slammed hard. So this is a hard-hitting, aggressive match. KO then goes up to the top ropes again, but then the knees are up by Gable to block the Swanton bomb. KO then evades a Gable's moonsault right after that. KO hits a super kick followed by the pop-up power bomb and gets the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Kevin Owens. So what a match that was. Hard-hitting, aggressive, real fight back and forth here. Right after the match here, KO gets attacked by Otis, but KO is able to throw him away. But Chad now comes to help. KO is able to fight off both of them and hitting a stunner on Otis and a power bomb on Gable onto Otis. So KO is looking great here. Even Roman Reigns mentioned Kevin Owens' name on SmackDown last week. He's even taken notice how Kevin Owens is looking dangerous. So I think it's only a matter of time before we might see Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns. Potentially, KO could maybe even, he's the one that could finally beat Roman Reigns. But we never know. It could be Theory or Drew McIntyre that have the titles. Or maybe Roman just beats all three of them and goes on to WrestleMania. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. But KO has a big celebration here with his hometown fans. Good moments for both Sami Zayn and KO over the last couple Canadian shows. Good stuff. So now Raw's getting a little bit better here. After that little bit of a slow start at the beginning, the Judgment Day's in the back. They just have a quick little promo here. Rhea Ripley says we're the Judgment Day and we run Monday Night Raw. Finn Balor says you've been beating up Dominic so much, I think he's starting to like it. And Ray, he's in my pocket. He's 6'1" mine. Which was, I don't know, eye rolling, I guess. Damian Priest then says the crowd will be cheering loud for Edge tonight, but I will be retiring Edge. Basically. So that was a fine promo. Nothing like the right home about or memorable, but it was fine. It got its point across. Anyway, Aliyah now comes out. It's her hometown crowd giving her big cheers, and she'll be taking on Bayley in Bayley's first match on TV in over a year. So big match here. Great stuff for Aliyah, who was in NXT so long that Bayley was still there when Aliyah was there. So these two do know each other, and it's great to see Aliyah get to this point in her career where she would be able to get to the main roster. It looked like it wasn't going to happen. Aliyah was stuck in NXT, barely getting any matches, let alone like prominent spots where you thought she'd be on the main roster. But here she is after so many years in the development system. She's still young at only 27 years old. She was there since she was like 20. And to see her get her big first time event in Toronto against the returning Bayley in a big match like this, I can see why when we come back from the ad break that Aliyah is just bawling her eyes out. She's just crying like no other here. So a little botched, but you can't blame her. Big moment here. So anyway, we're told that the 4-way second chance tag team match is going to be the 4 losing teams from the first round matches. So that's Dana Brooke and Tamina, Doudrop and Nikki ASH, Natalia and Sonya Deville, and who was the other one? Xylee and Shotzi. So that'll be, and then the winner of that has to fight Raquel and Aliyah on the same night on SmackDown. So anyway, huge booze for Bayley when she comes out. Bayley's been doing some great work to get freaking a huge amount of booze from these crowds. She's been being really annoying and it's been working well. So Aaliyah's still crying in the ring. She's going to have to get it together here. So Bayley's new ring gear is definitely interesting. It definitely looks like something that somebody would wear to the gym. It kind of looks plain, but it's also different than like anybody else wears. It's hard to explain, but I'm not even quite sure if I like it or not. We'll see if it evolves in time for the pay-per-view. So anyway, Bayley takes her down right away, but Aliyah's able to get a roll-up right after for a 2 count. Aliyah then ducks under a move with that Matrix move, which Aliyah this is a tribute match for Trish Stratus. So Trish wasn't in the match, but Aliyah, the hometown, also from Toronto, is going to be doing a bunch of Trish match moves in this match, including the Matrix duck under here. Followed by Aliyah follows it up with a nice hip toss right into a splits. That looks cool. So Aliyah then hits a nice looking T Harris, and then Bayley gets back control, does some the slow heel offense here. The crowd's dueling chants of "Let's go Bayley." Bayley sucks, and then Bayley applies a chin lock. Aliyah's able to get out, but Bayley evades her next attack and hits a bunch of big strikes. Bayley then hits a nice sliding lariat, and the crowd's booing big time. Bayley applies a chin lock as the crowd is not even the hometown girls really getting the cheers that we would need. So I know like Aliyah's not well known throughout all the fans, but you would have thought the Toronto crowd would have gave her a little bit more cheers during this match. Anyway, Bayley then catches a crossbody attempt, sets her up on the ropes, and hits a double knees on the gut for the 2 count here. Bayley then applies a chin lock and does the Trish Stratus pose right here. Bayley does it. That fires up Aliyah, who throws Bayley out of the ring. Bayley catches her, but Aliyah hits the cartwheel bulldog that Trish Stratus always used to do. So more of the Trish Stratus tributes, or as Hangman Page would call a masturbatory tribute match. But that's one of the best lines all year. Anyway, Bayley then counters and they run into each other here, and it's Aliyah trying to put on a one-legged Boston Crab. It was a little botched, but not too bad. Bayley then pulls the hair to get out of this Boston Crab, then does a monkey flip while still holding on to Aliyah's hair. That was pretty cool. Bayley then hits her finisher, the Rose Plant, for the 1, 2, 3. So the winner of this match by pinfall is Bayley, and then the Bayley buddies come out and celebrate with Bayley. And I'm definitely glad Aliyah got this chance. It meant a lot to her. You could tell with the bawling before the match. First time on the main roster in their home crowd. Trish Stratus in the building to watch her on, and Bayley and is her opponent, who she's known all the way since she was in NXT back in the day, because she was there forever. With Bayley's return match. So a special moment all around. The match might not have hit with you. It didn't like hit with me per se either. It's like, oh, this is a match I got to tell my friends to watch, but it is a special moment for everyone involved. So, and it was a masturbatory Trish Stratus tribute match. So, nothing wrong with that. But I do know that definitely the Montreal crowd in Canada was much better than the Toronto crowd here. I know they saw different shows, but still, Montreal, shout out to Montreal. They definitely were louder than Toronto. So now, weirdly, we see AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley walking side by side as if they're coming out for a tag team match, and they are. So now Ciampa's music hits, and you know what that means. So Miz comes out next, and it will be a tag team match. Ciampa and The Miz taking on AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley. So Miz and Ciampa last week, they beat the new tag team of Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali. So another win tonight might get Miz and Ciampa to the top of the Raw tag division, since the Street Profits lost 2 straight title matches and Alpha Academy haven't won a match in over a month, and they haven't won a TV match, 2-on-2 tag match since like February or March, which is ridiculous. So that would probably put Miz and Ciampa at the top of the heap if they can get the win tonight. But then again, AJ Styles and Lashley, what a lethal tag team combination that should be. So I was guessing we'd see another Dexter Lumis appearance during this match. I was thinking maybe he was after AJ Styles, but it definitely always seems to be when it's one of these combination of people out there that Dexter Lumis does things. And we did see Adam Pearce freaking out about something earlier in the show, so we knew it was coming. So Ciampa is going to start this match with AJ in the ring. Ciampa applies a headlock, but AJ hits a nasty drop kick to get out. Big shot to start this match right to Ciampa's face. Lashley now tags in, hits a delayed vertical suplex with one hand after AJ had handed off Ciampa to begin with. That was a cool little double team. Miz now tags in and counters an attack, but Lashley blocks the skull-crushing finale attempt here. AJ now tags in, hitting a nice striking combo, and then the Ushigoroshi neckbreaker. Ciampa now runs in, but gets thrown right out on top of the Miz, who had already rolled out of the ring. So after that, we go to an ad break. When we come back, Miz has control on AJ. Ciampa tags in, and they hit a nice double team here, and they could definitely be a new tag team that could challenge the Usos if they stay together and want to go for the tag titles. Ciampa then hits some attacks, tags in Miz, and they hit a second nice double team here. AJ's in trouble now with Lashley wanting in badly. Miz has a chin lock applied, but AJ gets out. Then Miz and AJ Miz gets AJ back to his corner and tags in Ciampa. So AJ tries to fight off a double team, but he couldn't, and the fight now spills to the outside. Miz and Ciampa have like a tag team celebration, and it looked awesome. So great stuff. I'm loving this Miz Ciampa tag team. So Lashley now walks over, and they both run away scared. Definitely loving this tag team. So back in the ring now, Ciampa applies a chin lock on AJ. Miz tags in and hits some knees to the back and taunting Lashley while doing this. Miz applies a chin lock, and AJ strikes his way out. Miz then pulls the hair and hits a DDT for a 2 count. Ciampa tags in, and they split the legs of AJ, making a wish, and AJ has been isolated in this match for a long time at this point. Ciampa now applies a chin lock. AJ able to strike out, hitting a jawbreaker. That's what I was talking about earlier. So many chin locks broken up with jawbreakers tonight in almost every single match. Anyway, Miz tags in, and AJ counters him with a Pele kick, and finally AJ is able to tag out to Lashley. He comes in hitting big lariats on both men into the corner with lariats as well. Then a DDT facebuster combo on both of the Miz and Ciampa. Lashley with a great hot tag offense right there. Lashley could definitely be in a tag team. Put him in a tag team in the tag division. If you want to treat the tag division as if it's just as good as the singles division, you could have a team like an AJ and a Lashley just be a tag team from now on. Sure, it's not what they might want to do, but not everybody can be in the world title picture. So having a team like a Lashley, I don't think we're gonna ever see it past this point. And of course, Lashley has his own title, but that's just something we could start doing if we want to make the tag division better. Sure, some people might think of it as, oh, you're just pairing up two random guys. Well, aren't all tag teams just paired up with two random guys at one point? And then, like, even the best tag teams were just paired up at a point. So if you have someone like a Lashley and a AJ form a tag team for a month, if it clicks, then get rid of it. If it's nice, then you go with it. That's how Rated RKO was kind of formed. And over a year later, our Rated RKO was one of the best on the roster. So that's kind of how I think things are going to happen. I don't think we're going to see like this AJ Lashley team is awesome, and I would love for it to maybe if they're not going to be in world title and still like at a point, AJ could get a world title shot. It's not like they have to break up their tag team. AJ could go for the title shot, maybe lose it, and then they're just back to their tag team. Maybe 2 months later, Lashley gets the title shot in a singles match. I mean, they're still a tag team. So I would like to see more and more of that kind of deal. And maybe like if Champa and Miz stay together, same deal. They could go for singles titles or tag titles, depending on what's going on. So back to this match now. Lashley had just done that facebuster DDT combo, which was really cool. Lashley then picks up Ciampa and hits him right into the ring post as they're outside of the ring, and that was nasty shot to Ciampa. So the crowd's chanting Bobby, Bobby now as Lashley hits a big lariat on the outside to the Miz. Ciampa then catches Lashley coming back in the ring with a draping DDT. Lashley is able to fight back though and hit a spear. Miz is in to break up the pin. AJ then knocks Miz out of the ring and they fight back over to the barricade, and a fan from out of nowhere grabs AJ Styles from behind, but then we see it was not Dexter Lumis. So the security drags this fan out for that attacked AJ from behind. The bell rang at one point, I think, maybe not yet, but it's about to, because now someone with a riot mask on grabs the Miz from behind, and we see it is now Dexter Lumis. Dexter drags Miz over the barricade and out, like up the steps and out of the arena. The Miz has just been kidnapped. The bell is ringing. The referee leaves the ring, but AJ and Ciampa are still fighting in the ring. AJ hits a phenomenal forearm and Lashley hits a spear. There's no referee and the match is just over. And I think it was ruled a no decision due to kidnapping of one of the competitors. So the first fan distracted the security, and that allowed Dexter Lumis to take out the Miz. And wow, this whole time I was thinking maybe Dexter wanted to get AJ Styles, but it looks like it was actually Miz. And I'm maybe has something to do with Johnny Gargano, which is what we all assumed. Dexter first started showing up in Johnny Gargano's hometown of Cleveland, and now it's just like the Miz. So I don't know. The only thing I can think of is maybe Dexter wants to get Ciampa away from the Miz so that Johnny can be with them, which would definitely be a wild story, and I'm definitely intrigued. But it gets wilder. So holy crap, it gets wilder than that. So we get a cool hype video for Edge and Damian Priest. Then we go to commercial break. And then let me take a deep breath because holy crap. So we just had the Miz. The Miz has just been kidnapped on TV, causing a match to be thrown out due to kidnapping. And now we come back from break and it just happens as if it was just, oh, la-di-da, here it comes. Johnny Gargano's music hits and Johnny Wrestling comes out. Like the everyone is shocked beyond belief. It's not even a huge cheer at the beginning. It's just like, holy crap, what? And then I got goosebumps immediately when it happened. An emotional moment for all NXT fans. And holy crap, right after the Miz got kidnapped by Dexter Lumis of all things, Johnny Gargano has debuted and returned, debuted on the main roster. Whatever you want to say, Johnny Wrestling is here. He is back. The crowd loved it. And the announcers didn't say a word. The announcers haven't said a word. That made the whole moment even better. It's not like Corey was like, oh, it's Johnny Wrestling. Like the whole moment was even better just watching it, hearing the music hit, seeing the Gargano name on the LED boards, seeing all the fans realize what the heck's actually happening right now, because it kind of just came out of nowhere. Like the Miz got kidnapped. We went to a commercial break, and then we just come back, and Johnny Wrestling's here. So holy crap, goosebumps, emotional moment here. Great that Triple H got back in charge when he did. So Johnny Wrestling gets into before he gets in the ring, he says to the camera, I missed you guys. So what a moment here. Like I said, the announcers haven't said a word yet, and they don't for this entire segment, which was awesome. Johnny Gargano gets on the microphone and he's about to talk, but he soaks in the thunderous Johnny Wrestling chants. This crowd was legitimately surprised and so happy to see him. So Johnny Gargano says, "Surprise, everybody. It's been 9 months. I got to remember how to do this. For those of you who don't know, I'm Johnny Gargano, and that was kind of a big deal in NXT. I was the first ever Triple Crown champion, and in fact, I won those tag titles in this very building. So, wow, didn't think about that. NXT Toronto or TakeOver Toronto. Anyway, since I've been gone, there's been a lot of questions, and I've wondered if I even wanted to do this anymore. But I was there with my 6-year-old baby wrestling. And I remembered that when I was younger, I had big, impossible dreams. I had dreams of being the Intercontinental, the United States, and the WWE champion. And then it hit me. What kind of father would I be if I didn't show my son that the biggest, most impossible dreams can come true? So when I left, I said, I will never, you'll never fail if you bet on yourself. And I'm proud to say that Johnny Wrestling is back in WWE, and we're just getting started. So holy crap, Johnny Wrestling's here. What a moment. I'm starting to get goosebumps just thinking about it again. And then we just get it like as if this, like Miz is kidnapped, Johnny Gargano's here, and now Austin Theory comes out, who was part of the way. He was with Johnny Gargano the entire time until Johnny Gargano just left this last time. So Austin Theory has had a quite eventful 9 months since they parted, and Austin Theory says, "What is this real? It's been 9 months. A lot has happened." And Johnny says, "Yeah, it's true. I changed a lot of diapers, and then I watched you. You've changed a lot." Theory says, "Yeah, I became the youngest U.S. champion. I was at WrestleMania, and with this briefcase, I'll be the new WWE Universal Champion. It's almost like all the things you dreamed of, I've already done them." Johnny, I got to tell you, I couldn't have done any of this without you. You took me under your wing. But now it's like I'm the veteran and you're the rookie. So you can carry my bags and hand me the briefcase when I cash in to be a champion. Seems like I could show you the way. Big insult there. And then Theory says, "Or you could just go away." But nobody wants to see that. We're great together. So let's do the high five. And Theory wants to do the high five here, but Johnny Wrestling super kicks Theory right in his face. Huge cheers from the crowd. And that was an awesome moment here. So Johnny Gargano leaves. The big cheers from the crowd, leaving Theory, his former protege, laid out in the middle of the ring. So I'm guessing that rivalry won't be over for a long shot. But anyway, nobody has mentioned that the Miz just was kidnapped by Dexter Lumis, which is extra. It just makes everything more hilarious. That's hilarious that nobody even mentioned that the Miz was kidnapped here. So that's pretty funny. So great moment here. Awesome to see Johnny Gargano on the main roster. That's just going to make everything better. Now you've got one more guy on the Raw roster that can just really go. Look at everybody on this roster that's so good, from your KOs to your AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Riddle. The Street Profits have even shown they're good in singles matches. Like there's Chad Gable can throw it down in a singles match, as we saw earlier. So it's just like so many. Damian Priest, Finn Balor. Like there's so many good people on this Raw roster. Gargano and Champa now being part of it. Who knows if they might form a tag team? That might be the long story here with getting rid of the Miz, and that was what Dexter Lumis was trying to do already, is maybe get rid of the Miz so Gargano and Ciampa can get back together, or maybe they'll start the long rivalry will rekindle. So it's looking really, really cool. Awesome stuff all around. Now, when we get back to Raw, we're told that we get a recap from the beginning of Raw. I had completely forgotten that Seth Rollins and Riddle had brawled out throughout the crowd. So much has happened since then. So then we're told next week Raw will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is Kurt Angle country, and Kurt Angle will be on Raw. So also on Raw next week, Seth Rollins will have a face-to-face with Riddle, and it'll be the finals of the women's tag team tournament, meaning that the winner of the 4-way match on SmackDown will have to take on Raquel and Aliyah on the same night on SmackDown to face the Io Sky and Dakota Kai on Raw next week. So it looks like another stacked week of Raw heading, and that'll be the last one before Clash at the Castle, which is a week from Saturday. And don't forget, if you're in America, that will be Saturday afternoon because of the time difference. So don't miss it. Don't miss it live. It's like something like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. If you're in America, or if you're on the West Coast, even earlier than that, either like noon or 1 o'clock. So that'll be a week from Saturday. Anyway, it's time for the main event, and this is a big one. So Damian Priest comes out with the new remixed version of his original theme, just like the one that Finn Balor had earlier, and not the exact same one, but the same premise of their remix themes. Finn's was a lot better, but I like Damian Priest's original one better. So I like the Priest original one, but the Finn remixed one is way better. So anyway, I guess that means maybe the Awesome Alter Bridge song's gone, or maybe when they come out for a group or as tag matches, it'll come back. So anyway, Edge comes out and absolutely blows the roof off the building with the response, which happens 2 segments in a row. How often does that happen where the roof gets blown off the building 2 segments in a row? First for Johnny Gargano, and now for the hometown Edge, making his first appearance in Toronto in a match in over a decade. So Edge is wearing all white with red accents, a really cool look for Edge. We don't see that look too often. Everything's all Canadianed out with maple leafs everywhere. Great stuff here. So Edge definitely looks fired up for this one. And we'll go to a commercial break before the match starts. So I prefer it that way. Otherwise, you go to a commercial break 2 minutes into the match. But anyway, we do find out it is going to be picture-in-picture ad breaks, so we never miss 1 second of this match, which is great stuff. You love to see it. So this was a big, important match, and WWE knew that, so they gave us the treat of having picture-in-picture ad breaks. So anyway, when we get back, I'm definitely already wondering what kind of shenanigans we'll see from the Judgment Day. If Ray's here to help, maybe even Dominic. So what kind of things. But when we get back from the break, we see that Beth Phoenix is in the front row. So you'd have to imagine like Rhea Ripley or something will get into her face, something along those lines. They're not just going to show Beth Phoenix for no reason. So Edge now looks like he's been crying as well during the ad break. And for anyone that wanted to give Aliyah a hard time earlier for crying, Edge is doing the same thing here. So Edge is able to counter the power advantage of Damian Priest right away here, throwing Damian out of the ring, and Edge is using his experience here to win the first exchange. Damian hits a big knee to the gut, but Edge just gets right back up and quickens the pace, and again is able to evade Priest and sending Priest out of the ring. So Edge is fired up for this one and is looking like 30 years old again. He's getting around the ring really well. So Corey, this is where Corey tells us it'll be limited commercial interruptions. Apparently that's code word for picture in picture. And then but that's great news. So Edge then gets wrist control. Damian hits a big punch to take control right after that. Edge is able to slide out of the ring and catch Damian with a lariat right outside. That was another nice move using Edge's experience. Then holy crap, Edge hits a power bomb right on the barricade, folding Damian Priest back in half. And I kind of forgot this happened. There's a lot of match left. And Damian is holding his back throughout the rest of this match. And this is exactly why right here. Damian gets folded in half backwards with a power bomb on the barricade. That was nasty. Then we go to the picture-in-picture ad break. Damian doesn't get very long to shake that off because he gets thrown back into another barricade. Damian then rolls to the ring trying to escape these barricade shots, but Edge gets a crossface applied right away. Damian gets out of this and then ends up getting thrown into the barricade again. So he's having but Damian's able to shake this one off and then throw Edge back first into the ring post. Maybe even Edge hit the back of his neck, because now Damian's stretching Edge's previously injured neck, the whole reason he hasn't wrestled here in a decade to begin with. Edge then gets thrown into the barricade and then back into the ring. Damian hits a kind of bad-looking Falcon Arrow, then goes up to the top rope as we're now back from the break. Edge evades a top rope spinning heel kick, not good for Priest back again. 2 hard shots for Priest back, who lands hard but is able to get up, and then both men hit a mafia kick, a big boot at the same time. Damian's able to get up first, but Edge is up too, and Edge hits a flapjack followed by a few lariats. Edge then evades an attack, hitting a draping neck breaker for a 2 count. And this is when I kind of noticed that Edge has weird ginger red hair tonight. It's kind of weird, but it does match the red and white theme he's got going on with his gear tonight. So Edge now goes up to the top rope and leaves all the way to the outside of the ring right onto Priest. Edge landed hard on his knees. Damian's down 2, though. Edge breaks the 10 count. He doesn't want to win that way. He wants to kick Edge's butt. So Priest then hits a choke slam into the apron. Maybe Edge made a mistake here, as now right after getting choke slammed into the apron, Priest hits a crucifix bomb, throwing Edge through the announce table, just like when the Edge got kicked out of the Judgment Day. So now we take another picture-in-picture ad break, and those were 2 big shots that Edge just took in a row. The referee starts a 10 count as Damian Priest is just fine with a 10 count victory. Edge is just barely able to get back in the ring, but is in big trouble now as Damian hits some strikes. Priest now hits some kicks as Edge tries to fire up and is able to duck under a kick and hits the Edge-o-matic. Now Priest fights back and big strikes taken from Edge. Or Damian gets some control. Damian goes up to the top rope and drags Edge up there with him. And as we come back here, Edge is able to block the South of Heaven choke slam attempt from the middle rope. Edge hits a top rope Hurricane Rana. Wow. And Edge hit it beautifully. Edge now lines up for the spear, and Damian counters it with a nasty-looking spin kick. That was awesome. Now Damian Priest hits the unprettier, the kill switch engage of all things, the Christian finisher. Edge just barely kicks out of the unprettier. So Edge now is fighting back, but he's in big trouble here. They start a striking exchange, but Edge can barely stand, and Damian's strikes are way harder. But Edge is able to hit a big Mafia kick here. Then Edge ducks under a roundhouse kick, hitting the Impaler DDT. Damian Priest just barely kicks out of this one. And this match is really good. Really good match for Edge in his first match in a decade in his hometown. Awesome stuff. You love to see it. Now they counter each other back and forth until Damian hits the Reckoning. Now Damian motions for a spear here, but Edge counters the spear, hitting the South of Heaven chokeslam. So he counters his own move, hitting one of the moves of Damian Priest. This gets a 2 count. Edge now looks for the sharpshooter, but Damian kicks Edge off, and here we go with the shenanigans as the referee gets knocked out of the ring. Damian now hits the South of Heaven chokeslam and gets a chair, 2 chairs as a matter of fact. Damian puts one across the neck, gets another chair, about to do a one-man concerto slash Pillmanize the neck of Edge here, and then Edge is just barely able to move out of the way at the last second. Edge now has a chair, and he breaks the leg off and applies a crossface using the chair leg across the mouth of Damian, just like when Edge got kicked out of the Judgment Day. Damian now counters a spear attempt, hitting Edge right in the head with that chair leg. I thought it was over, but somehow Edge had the fighting spirit from his hometown here to kick out. Edge then busts out a Canadian destroyer of all things, and it looks pretty good. Edge follows that with a big spear, getting the 1, 2, 3, and the crowd goes wild. The winner of this match by pinfall, Edge. So, wow, what a match. This is definitely one that, like, when you think back in a few years, you'll still remember this one where Edge finally made his return after decades in his hometown. Great stuff. It really was. And it didn't need a whole lot of accoutrements or extras. It was just a classic match, good main event type match. It could have been for a title at a pay-per-view kind of main event type match. So awesome stuff here. Edge now he wants to hit Priest with the chair, but Rhea Ripley is now out here to stop Edge. Finn Balor's here too, and he hits coup de grace on Edge. So now they want to hit Edge with the chairs, but Beth Phoenix jumps over the barricade and grabs the chair from them. They all start to back down, and for a little bit of a second here, for 1 second, I thought Beth was about to join the Judgment Day and hit Edge with the chair, but maybe I just been watching wrestling way too much, because Beth just makes the Judgment Day leave, and then Raw ends with Beth helping Edge up. But oh my gosh, could you imagine if Beth Phoenix joins the Judgment Day and started wearing like Rhea Ripley type stuff? That would have been wild. So anyway, that was some great stuff. We kind of Raw kind of stuttered through the first half, but this second half was awesome. The second half of Raw was back to back memorable moments where you could think back in a decade and probably remember, and you'll probably remember the fact that they all were back to back. You start with The Miz being kidnapped by Dexter Lumis, which was wild. That was a wild scene. The match just stops and everything just stops. Then we come back from the break. Johnny Gargano just makes his return, seemingly in a separate thing from Dexter Lumis, but we all know that Dexter Lumis was associated with Johnny Gargano. So The Miz gets kidnapped in one segment. The next segment, Johnny Gargano returns with a great debut, also tying up his loose ends with Theory. And then right after that, Edge making his return in his hometown after a decade in a really good main event match. Back to back things that you can probably remember in 10 years. You know how many things happen in these Raws that nobody remembers in a week? you could probably look back in 10 years and at least remember one of these three moments. The Miz being kidnapped is probably the least memorable one, but how often do people just get kidnapped out of a match? So that's going to be talked about. Then the Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling debut, return, whatever you want to call it, and then having the interaction with Theory, that's super memorable. And then Edge having a great main event match. The match probably won't be as memorable as the fact that it was his hometown after a whole decade. So, I mean, the first half of Raw was a little bit baffling. Maybe my mind's just playing tricks on me because the crowd wasn't into it. But still, like, nobody cares about Dolph Ziggler right now. They should have probably just kept him as a heel because nobody wants to cheer for Dolph, and it's kind of sad to watch. Alexa Bliss and Dakota Kai, when they were in the ring together, that kind of brought the crowd down a little bit. I was fine with the Aliyah match. That was a big moment for Aliyah and Bayley's return. So this even had Bayley's return, and I think that would have been back to back to back to back segments if you had the Bayley return. Wait, no, because you had the Alpha Academy. But that was like before the main event. That was the match of the night. So the second best match of the night was KO and Gable, which was a really good match. But definitely the match of the night has to be the main event. Really good stuff. So I think Raw's been hitting it out of the park. Looks like we got another big one on next week in Pittsburgh, but we've got a big SmackDown here in my hometown of Detroit first. We've got a big all kinds of stuff. There's still 5 women that could come out of SmackDown, or 10 women, because 5 different teams could come out of SmackDown as going into the finals in next week Raw. So really good Raw. Gets a big thumbs up from me, even with the beginning stuff. And I really enjoyed it. So thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.